Hello everyone, welcome to my Sun Moon Yoga YouTube channel. I will be uploading various videos of sequences, movements throughout the next coming weeks. Today we're going to look at the Joint Freeing series. This is just a series of simple movements to work through the joints from the toes up to the neck and just to simply move the joints to keep the joints healthy. So we'll start by leaning back, so you can extend the legs out in front of you and just have the hands behind you, just leaning back and find a comfortable position to support yourself. So very simply we're going to start moving the toes, keep the feet still if you can, so getting the toes pointing towards you and away from you, flexing, extending the toes. And then once you've got some movement into the toes, you can try moving the ankles. So we're moving now the whole foot forwards and backwards. And we can do that a few times, trying to get as much range of movement as you can. So now have the toes pointing up. See if you can turn the soles of the feet in towards each other with the toes pointing up, and then the soles of the feet away from each other. It's called inversion of the feet, and eversion of the feet. And there's two different joints that one makes this movement, inversion, eversion. Another joint makes this movement where we dorsiflex, point the foot towards us, and plantarflex, where we point the toes away from us. And actually you can combine that movement now by just circling the feet round. So those two different joints combine together to get this nice circular movement, like you're drawing a circle with your big toe. And then of course go the other way. Okay, so for the moving up to the knee joints, for the knees we might like to just lie on the floor and just take hold behind one leg, somewhere behind the thigh, and just straighten up the leg and then bend the knee. And of course you can do this in a seated position, but this leads nicely into a little bit of hip movement there. So from there, taking the left foot, so I've got using my right foot, I'm just going to take the left foot out to the side, hands to the floor, and I'm just going to take the knee around in a circle, like I'm drawing a circle with my knee. So now I'm getting movement for the hip, and this movement in the hip joint is called circumduction. And then you can take the circle in the other direction. So circumduction means you're taking the joint through the whole range of movement, basically, rotating, abducting, adducting, and extending and flexing. Okay, and then bring the foot down, and we can try that with the other leg. So we're going to take the fingers behind your thigh somewhere and just straighten the leg and then bend the knee. And be aware of how the joint is moving, how much range of movement you have. Okay, take the other foot out to the side a little bit, and then taking your left knee round in a circle, like you're just drawing a circle above you. And then go the other way a few times. Okay, and then you can bring both feet to the floor, and then you might like to just do a little bit more movement here for the hips. So with the feet a little bit wider, you're just going to allow your right knee to lower inwards towards your left foot, and then back up, and then repeat a few times. And then try that on the other side. Left knee lowers inwards towards the right foot. Good. And then we can let both knees lower to the side, roll over, push yourself up, and coming up onto the hands and knees. So now we can do a little bit more movement for the hips, so hands behind us, and we'll just allow the knees, so the feet wide, knees just to lower over to one side and then to the other side. So we get this nice internal and external rotation at the hip joints. And then when you're ready, just lowering the knees all the way over to one side and reaching the hand around to bring yourself up onto the hands and knees. And from here we can then move to the spine. So we've worked with the hip joints. So now from the hands and knees we can try flexion and extension of the spine. So flexing the spine is where we tuck the tailbone, navel draws in and up, chin comes in towards chest. They call it the cat pose in yoga. And then extending the spine, the tailbone lifts, the chest lifts, and the gaze looks forward. And then we go from one to the other. And then last one. Okay, from there we can move into a little bit of side bending. So let's see if we can bring the shoulder and the hip towards each other as we bring the same side ear towards the shoulder. So we're bringing the hip and shoulder towards each other as the ear comes towards the shoulder, making it lateral flexion, side bending. Then we come back to center, to the other side, hip and shoulder move towards each other, ear towards shoulder. And then we just continue like this from side to side. Here we're trying to keep the center of the pelvis fixed over the center of the mat. So there's a swiveling movement at the pelvis, swiveling around this central point. Lateral flexion. Okay, and then we can try rotation, so the last one on all fours. So we can take the one hand a bit closer towards the other hand, the other arm behind the back, and we're just going to simply turn the chest, turn the head, and getting some rotation into the spine, then come back to center. So you're turning, let the chest go as far as it can, then maybe let the head turn to look up, so we're getting some of that movement into the neck as well. But particularly here looking to turn the chest so we can get that nice rotation in the thoracic spine. And then we can swap over the hands. Also, if you have any wrist problems with taking the weight in the hand like this, one thing you can do, try and press the mound of the index finger down, or even just make a fist. That might take the weight off the wrist there, and then you can do that on the other side. So same thing on the other side now. So we're turning the chest and coming back, making sure we turn the chest as much as we comfortably can. We're not trying to force anything here, we're just getting a nice range of movement. Last one. Okay, great. And then from there, either sitting back on the heels, if you can manage that, that might not be comfortable for you, or coming up to standing, same thing, just arms down by the side. And we're going to take some movement into the shoulders now. So now we're looking on moving the whole of the shoulder girdle. So we just simply take the shoulders forward and up and back and down. Nice simple movement there, just rolling the shoulders, not too fast. See how smooth you can make that movement. And feel what's happening around the shoulder blades at the back. Notice how much movement you have there, and go the other way. So here we're focusing on the whole shoulder girdle moving here. So that shoulder girdle consists of your shoulder blade, the collarbone and the arm bone. So that's all moving here. And then now focusing a little bit more of the arm bone and the shoulder socket, the glenoid cavity. It's called humerus in the glenoid cavity. So we're getting some rotation here. So you can start by having the elbows out to the side, palms face down, And then keeping the elbows lifted so the shoulder blades stay fixed on the back, we then take the fingers up. So that's focusing on an external rotation at the glenoid cavity, so the arm bone in the shoulder socket. And then we bring the hands down, keeping the elbows lifted, and point the fingers further down. So now that focuses on the internal rotation. And we go from one to the other. Make sure the movements are comfortable for you. Last one. Okay, and then bring the arms down. Okay, and then we'll take the arms out. We'll bring the fingertips to the shoulders, and we're going to make some nice big circles now with the elbows, like you're drawing a circle with the elbows. And just start off. You can start off small if you like, and make the movements a little bit bigger, and then go the other way. Okay, and then let's reach the arms out in front of us, focusing on the elbow joint. And then we're just touching the shoulders with our fingers and extending out the arms. So flexing at the elbow and then extending. Good, and then we can focus on the fingers and the wrists. So extending out the fingers, making fists. So not forgetting all the finger joints. Of course, we want to maintain our joint health through movement, simple movement. Okay, and then we can turn the fists, palms down, and take the fingers up, and then point the fingers down. So getting movement into the wrist joint now. Very interesting joint to look at if you're interested in the anatomy of the joint. Lots of little bones there move together to create all these different movements. You can also take the fingers now from side to side. You might like to make fists and then circle around with the fists. And go the other way. Shaking up. Okay, then we've already had some movement into the neck, but just focusing a little bit more on the movement in the cervical spine, your neck, 7 vertebrae in the neck here. So first of all, just looking down towards your belly, and then looking up. And as you look up, you will find that the rest of the spine will extend a little bit as well. So your thoracic spine, part of the spine behind your chest. So make sure all the movements are comfortable. Okay, coming back to center, and then a bit of rotation, looking to the left and right. Simple movement. That's it. And then a little bit of lateral flexion or side bending for the neck, so just bringing the ear on one side towards each other and coming back up, and then the ear on the other side. Ear towards shoulder, I should say. Not ears towards each other. That's it. And then back to center. You might like to do a half roll of the head, so just bringing the chin forward and one ear over the shoulder, and then going to the other side. And then coming back to center. Okay, so that is the joint freeing series. A simple sequence of movements starting from the toes to the neck that you ideally will do regularly. So if you don't do any other yoga practice, then this can be a really nice way to get you into at least keeping the joints nice and healthy. And of course it can then lead to other yoga movements from there. So thank you for joining me, and I look forward to seeing you soon. Thanks a lot. You can subscribe as well to my YouTube channel. Thank you.